Their crimes range from rape and molestation to voyeurism and stalking juveniles. I'm talking about convicted sex offenders, people most parents want nowhere near their children. The law says they're supposed to register with police, telling authorities where they live, work, and what they drive. But plenty of sex offenders break that law, making it harder for police and the public to keep tabs on them.
Well, tonight, KSLA News 12 Chief Investigative Reporter Stacey tells us how one sex offender opened up a business, started serving customers and traveling all across the Arklatex. He did so for some 5 months, but police had no idea until Stacey phoned in a tip.
This is Matthew Emmanuel Collier. He's a convicted sex offender, recently arrested again by Caddo Parish Sheriff deputies.
Do you have any comment, Mr. Collier?
This time, they say he violated the Louisiana sex offender registration law. I was there capturing his arrest on camera, but let's back up and let me tell you how I knew about Collier and the investigation landing him in custody.
Broadcasting live.
Recently, a parent
This is KSLA
contacted the station, worried about a food trailer called Go Eat and its self-titled chef who went by Matthew Emmanuel. Their fear, Go Eat, according to social media posts linked to the food trailer, opened up near schools and parks, and that parent believed Collier was a convicted sex offender. So I did some digging into Collier and Go Eat. Typing his name into the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Offender Watch, Collier popped up as a registered sex offender living in Caddo Parish, convicted of indecent behavior with a juvenile back in 2014. Then, taking a trip to Government Plaza, checking city records, I discovered Go Eat is a properly licensed food truck business with Collier listed as owner. But a closer look at the sex offender registry raised two red flags. Collier's registration did not list a work address or any vehicles, despite owning a food trailer. So I called the sheriff's office to see if that broke the law.
We rely on tips a lot.
That's Lieutenant Greg Wingett. He oversees the Cattle Sex Offender Registry from his office at the parish jail. Wingett says after my call, deputies opened an investigation, and a short time later,
Within probably 2 to 3 hours of getting the tip, we were making an arrest.
I was outside Collier's Southern Hills home in Shreveport, filming deputies taking him away in cuffs.
Mr. Collier is now facing a failure to register charges. He did not inform us he had a food truck trailer. He didn't inform us that he was driving his wife's car, I believe it was, and also he didn't tell us that he had a professional license.
Lieutenant Wingett told me Collier's the first sex offender he's known to get behind the wheel of a food truck. He took Go Eat all across the Arklatex before his arrest, including a trip over the river into Bossier Parish and travels into Texas and Arkansas, raising the possibility Collier broke more laws.
You would also be required to register with Miller County because you were employed there.
Because law enforcement officials like Chief Deputy Mark Lewis in Miller County, Arkansas, have no record of Collier registering his business in their jurisdictions, despite Go Eat making stops there, according to posts on social media. Right now, Lewis's office is tracking about 75 registered sex offenders. He says it's not uncommon to see some get back in trouble with the law.
We have about 5% of that population that we routinely have active criminal charges on. Most of the time those charges are not for repeat offenses, but they are for failure to register appropriately.
A problem Lieutenant Wingett told me could grow.
The reality is we've got close to 700 active sex offenders in the parish.
If more sex offenders open up mobile businesses, then fail like Collier allegedly did with his food trailer in following all the registration laws when traveling and opening up for business. I spoke with Matthew Collier yesterday, who said he's innocent of the crime that now labels him a sex offender. When it comes to failing to register properly, Collier told me violating that law was simply a mistake, that he was not trying to willfully hide his business, saying the sex offender registration laws are confusing, and he honestly tried his best to comply. I can tell you, since getting out of jail on Friday, Collier has taken all the steps needed to update his sex offender registration. I'm KSLA Chief Investigative Reporter Stacey Cameron.